It's extremely rare for a striker to immediately adapt and score goals in the Premier League. Sergio Aguero did it when he arrived in 2011, and now Erling Haaland has done the same many years later. Aguero had a breathtaking record and scored 257 goals for Manchester City, but we think the young Norwegian could break upwards of 300. Today we bring you 9 reasons why Haaland will destroy Aguero's goal records at Manchester City and in the English top flight. Stick around until the end to find out why we believe Haaland could become the greatest Premier League striker of all time. Physicality. Aguero had the body of an athlete and didn't exactly struggle to keep up in the Premier League, but Haaland's anatomy is an entire different beast in itself. His 6-foot frame has always allowed him to tower over midfielders and stand in the centre of the pitch. Yet, the Norwegian hasn't always been the scariest player on the pitch. He was unhappy with his muscle type and dedicated to bulking up after his move from RB Salzburg. He improved his diet and went from 86 kilos to 94. The striker also paid close attention and increased the volume of his weight training. He now has the perfect build to do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke, and physically, he's more than capable of matching the rowdy nature of the Premier League. Pair that with his speed, and he's bound to shake the boots of defenders as he approaches them in the press, not necessarily something Aguero could do with his physique. Room for growth. Erling Haaland has been under the spotlight for several years now. His insane goal-scoring record went viral ages ago when Haaland was playing at Molde, and he's been trending ever since. It's very easy to forget just how young Haaland is. The striker is still only 22 years old. Let's put this in context. At the end of last season, Haaland had already scored over 150 club goals. Lionel Messi had only scored 80 by the time he turned 22. Cristiano Ronaldo had only scored 47. Haaland is young, hungry, and still nowhere near his best, especially when you consider that he hasn't fully tweaked his build-up play to fit in at City. He doesn't make many touches at all each game in the Prem, but still ends up scoring goals. If he can score goals while barely being involved in the match, imagine what he's going to do when he's fully integrated into Guardiola's side. Kevin De Bruyne. City have added the best finisher in world football with the signing of Haaland, but they already boast having the world's best playmaker in Kevin De Bruyne. Aguero, of course, had a solid 6 years playing alongside De Bruyne and reaped the benefits of his balls in behind. Look where that got him, and now Haaland gets to play with the Belgian in his prime. Haaland possesses insane pace and loves to latch onto through balls. De Bruyne, on the other hand, loves playing this type of football, and we've already seen him play balls behind enemy lines this season. He played a beautiful ball to assist Bernardo Silva versus Newcastle a few weeks ago. While the pass didn't find Haaland, he was recorded reacting in astonishment off the ball, probably jealous that it wasn't him on the end of it. The visions of Haaland goal, De Bruyne assist are going to become way too common in the Premier League, a beautiful sight for fantasy players and punters alike. City's depth and dominance. When he was at Dortmund, Haaland must have gotten used to always coming up second to Bayern Munich, but now that he's in Manchester, he's not going to have that problem. Manchester City are by far the best team in the Premier League, if not the world. They've dominated the Premier League in recent years, and Haaland now integrates himself into one of world football's greatest squads. The competition of the likes of Julian Alvarez potentially taking his spot will keep him active, and the countless star wingers will mean there is creative service for the number 9 no matter who's playing. And if he can score 67 goals at a club playing second fiddle in the Bundesliga, imagine what he can do with world-class playmakers surrounding him. Lack of national burnout. Norway is a football nation on the come-up. With the likes of Ødegaard, Joshua King and Sorloth in the side, the Scandinavian nation could soon find themselves at the Euros or World Cup. But right now, Haaland lacks considerable national responsibility. While he's the key talisman for the country, he doesn't have the weight of a major tournament on his shoulders right now. He can therefore focus solely on his club-level game. Aguero, on the other hand, played 8 international competitions and made 100 appearances for Argentina, tweaking a recurring knee injury on a couple of occasions for the South American side. Haaland also has nothing to prove and nobody to impress in his national system, and will therefore not be feeling pressure to play well enough to be on the plane for the upcoming World Cup. He plays for Manchester City and Manchester City only, giving him time to recharge and not overworking him at his young age, which leads us on to our next point. World Cup break. After big expectations, Norway faltered in the World Cup qualification round in a disappointing campaign. They finished third in Group G, with only the top 2 teams advancing to the next rounds. It now means that Haaland will be able to enjoy Christmas at home. Most of the Premier League's elite players will be off in Qatar for half of December, including the majority of the City squad. But Haaland will still be in Manchester, smashing shots at Scott Carson. It gives him so much one-to-one time with the City coaching staff. He'll be able to continue to be mentored and improve his game, and adapt fully to Guardiola's philosophies if he hasn't done so already by then. It also means that the injury-prone striker can recharge and relax ahead of a grueling several games per week schedule post-World Cup. Games will be played midweek due to time constraints, and Haaland will be ready to feast during these after being rested for half a month. Aerial presence. While Aguero was a natural finisher and an all-round talisman for City, his aerial presence left a lot to be desired. Haaland certainly doesn't have that problem. Aguero only scored 26 headers for Manchester City out of a total of 257 goals. Haaland, on the other hand, has already 2 for them in only 5 games. His 6'3" figure makes him a titanic target for crosses in the box, and City have an abundance of skilled wingers and fullbacks who will be constantly fizzing them in on Haaland's head. Haaland boasts far superior success rates in the air when compared to Kun Aguero. Aguero won 32% of his total duels, whereas Haaland currently sits on 49% and has already won way more than Aguero even attempted throughout his entire career. It's an extra form of versatility that Haaland offers, which Aguero could not previously provide. He can score them with both feet, and he can also rise up high and score them with his head. Is it actually even possible to defend against this monster? Defending and work rate. Another quality that Haaland brags over Aguero is his off-the-ball work rate. Haaland sits on a slightly higher press success rate at 31.9% and is often the player to lead his team's defensive work within the final third. The Norwegian isn't far from topping Aguero's career total presses while playing almost 300 less overall games than the Argentine. While it might not directly lead to Haaland scoring more goals, it means that he can win the ball higher up the pitch and quickly convert towards a counter-attack. He has playmakers all around him, but he can also make his own chances through his relentless press and bullying physique, a terror to centre-backs that Aguero didn't often impose. His ridiculous mentality. But with all of his qualities, we think the main reason why Haaland will destroy Aguero's record comes within his head. No matter the numbers he has already put on the board, it's never enough for the Norwegian. His blunt approach to the media shows that he always wants more from games. Even when he scores a hat-trick, his answers to the press conference questions are less about praising himself and more about doing the same next week. His mentality is monstrous and seems unbreakable. Haaland has been through a few injuries already in his career, yet it hasn't slowed him down one bit. Missing games in your teenage years could be disheartening for some players, but Haaland has always come back just as strong. He possesses a humble mentality that seems rare in modern football. We think he won't let himself stop until he smashes all-time Premier League records, let alone just Aguero's.